have no idea what happened.
You were starting to break up a little bit, and then it just cut off.
I'm so sorry. It just like literally cut off, and I didn't even have to accept you. That was so weird. I apologize, everyone. I don't know what happened. I was all getting into it, and then it just
You
cut off.
were. It was getting so good. But it's hey y'all, when we say y'all gotta rock with us
Yes,
through this. Like, look, we are not IT techs. We just
yes.
trying to spread the mission.
But thank you for coming back. Yeah. So what I
Yes.
is I don't want people to feel like, oh, I got a husband, arguing with my husband, my wife, or significant other, whoever. So it's toxic. We have to break up. By no shape, means, or form. We're saying that, but when you're emotionally, but we are saying, if you're emotionally drained, you need to have a conversation and figure out how to make the relationship better. I do believe relationships could have its down point and it has its high point. And
Yeah.
people who are married, for better or worse, right? So we're not saying give up, but it does come a point where if the person seems like they're not going to change, and there's a point, like I have a client who literally cannot come up with any pros in their relationship, cannot
Mm-hmm.
come up with one pro. And I went old school and said, let's make a list, pros and cons, and cannot come up with one pro. That's a problem.
That's toxic. Yeah, that's a red flag.
Not one pro, like 5 years and not one pro. And I try not to do certain exercises when my clients are in a certain emotional space, right? So it's not like they just finished the argument and was in that emotion. Because when you're angry, it's hard to think. Like, I only see one.
Right.
So I can't even say that client was in a negative space. No, we were having a regular session. You can't think of one pro.
Right.
What
Right.
what what are we fighting for? You know what I mean?
Right.
If there's some pros you can work with, and you know who this person once you know what I mean? Then you have something to fight for. Or also, where I went wrong in my toxic relationship, I saw the red flags in the beginning, and I held on to the potential. And I feel
Yes.
like I had to realize, like, you're holding on to a potential when he didn't even deserve this much. Like, the red flags was shown in the beginning, and I
Right.
ignored, trying to get over another relationship. You know what I mean? So that was
Mm-hmm.
my fault because I wasn't healed. You know what I mean? So what I
Mm-hmm.
take everything that last relationship was missing, and this person had everything I wanted that person to have. So I ignored everything else. But because this person had what the last person had, I held on to that.
Yeah. Yeah.
The red flags were there. I tried to fight for the potential, and it just wasn't. So that's where I'm like, okay, no. If you there,
Yeah.
red flags were there from the beginning, middle, and end, and you can't find any happiness and a million broken promises and all those things. Yeah, but I'm not saying don't fight for your marriage or relationship, because sometimes you have to, and that's you're going to come
Yeah.
back time stronger. As a married person, what are your thoughts on that, Dr. Hill?
No, I agree with you. I agree. I think, in relationships, you're going to have your ups and your downs. That's what helps you guys build. And I think someone mentioned it. Someone said, I feel like when both are not willing to actually fight for it, it takes both parties to make it work. That part right there, that's the part where, like, hey, we're in a tunnel together right now, but we're still holding hand in hand to get through this tunnel, because that happens in relationships. You two are coming together, and so you guys aren't going to think the same. So that is a healthy thing that happens in marriages, because it teaches you how to really strengthen that communication.
Mm-hmm.
What's the unhealthy part is, and this is something I do with my clients, because everyone has different triggers and everyone has different traumas. So what you might think is toxic, I might not, but that might be a very big trigger for you. So it might be, I don't like my spouse to slam doors because it takes me back to my childhood. And I'm not saying that for me,
Good
but I'm
point.
thinking
Yeah,
like for
yeah,
people,
yeah.
different triggers. So what I normally ask my clients when they're trying to identify if their relationship is healthy or not, I'll say, do you show empathy past red flags? And so
Mm.
I love that you brought up that red flag, because that is so true. Do we show love and grace over red flags. We see it, we know it's happening, but we see through to that potential. So it's like, I'll give it some empathy, I'll give it some grace. I hope that they'll get it together. When it's like, no, a red flag is a red flag. So that gaslighting, control, manipulation, disrespect. Respect is big. Respect is
Huge,
big,
huge,
huge.
huge,
So
huge. Go ahead.
yeah, so I would basically say if you are in a place where you are unsure of, am I in a toxic relationship? Ask yourself, am I loving past, or am I showing empathy past red flags?
Mm-hmm. And you know what? And I don't even think I say empathy because we're taught this in school, Dr. Hill. I think we give too much sympathy. If
Hmm.
it was empathy, we kind of could be like, yeah, I understand what you're going through, but I don't have to deal with it. I feel like we
Yeah.
sympathize and then feel like we could change them or we have to save them.
Hmm.
So like
Hmm.
that's where a lot of people go wrong. And a lot of people go wrong is when they don't see that sometimes they're the toxic person. So they
Yes.
think it's always pointing the finger. If you can't find anything that you could do differently, we might have a problem. I feel like it's
Right.
room for growth and change. You know what I mean? I feel like people should
Hmm.
do a self-evaluation. Not to be too hard on you, but you should it's always room to grow. And for someone who
Absolutely.
we've been in a relationship for going on 6 years, neither one of us was who we were 6 years ago. So
Hmm.
what we both liked before, we may not like now. So it's constant growth. So I feel like that
Right.
causes people don't realize it. Like you have to be willing to grow individually and
Hmm.
collectively. We pray together, and that's what we pray. Like God bless us individually, collectively, allow us to see each other individually and collectively, because that makes a difference as well.
Oh my
Um,
gosh, yes.
someone said, "Yes, I agree, Dr. Hill." And when they fight below the belt to hurt you, yeah, that's a problem.
Yeah. Yeah, because you're intentionally trying to hurt me. You're intentionally. So so I think that might be able, like a little doorway to transition to the next thing of, what do you think are the signs that you may not be ready for a relationship?
Oh, that's good. Um, definitely you brought it up earlier, trust issues. Like I'm not saying go and trust everybody because I just don't trust anybody regardless. That's just I think
I don't know
this
about that one, Dr. Jones.
yeah, I just think that's growing up, but
Uh,
you have to give some people the benefit of the doubt. Like there's a difference between not trusting everyone and being bitter. You know what I mean? Like, I think
mhm.
that's the difference. Like, I'm not expecting you to know this man for 1 month and trust him that he gonna tell you all 100% the truth, or women, who, whatever, however you identify, whatever, and it's everything's gonna be peachy and creamy. No, I'm not
Right.
saying that, but you have to have a little bit of wiggle room. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
some type of wiggle room. Yes, someone took what else I was
Com-
gonna say. Comparing to your ex, like stop it.
yes.
I
Yes.
love it. They are two complete. I told you I almost did not end up with who I am now because I'm like they the same sign, and oh, nope, nope, nope.
I know everything I need to know about you, right?
I was ready to cut it off by the first date when we found out this. Oh no, this not gonna work, and they are two completely different. When I say two completely different people. So yeah, comparing them to your ex, and I feel like when you're just miserable, some people are just miserable. And I
Mm.
feel like when someone is trying to overlove too easy, I feel like the opposite, like ready to give you the all. Because some people are ready for love, right? And I don't blame.
Yeah.
Love is a beautiful thing, and I wish everybody the happiest love. But some people is ready to give it all on the first day, which sometimes it works for people, right? I don't knock it. But sometimes I feel like some people do it because they feel like they have a point to prove. But my question is, who are you proving this point to?
Right. Because you're not responding out of love, you're responding out of fear.
Yes.
It's a
And some
form of people
don't,
pleasing.
Yeah, and but then that also could end up trauma bonding, because now you find this person that want to overlove and this person that want to overlove, and then some people become so obsessed with each other, and then it turns into jealousy, and it turns into control, and then it controls into you can't hang out with your friends and family because I want to be with you all the time, and then it end up turning toxic. You know what I mean?
Yes, yes.
Could go out of different. Does that make sense? Like,
That does. I think someone actually commented, I believe when you love, I think they're saying yourself, I believe when you love yourself, things are easier to identify a lot of things. And I agree with you. When you really
absolutely.
are in tune with what you got going on, it makes it easier for you to identify, like, am I trauma bonding or am I overly loving because I'm
Hmm.
afraid if I don't give all this, they won't want me. Or I'm not worthy, I'm not enough, I'm unlovable. So yes, absolutely. No, but
And
that did make sense.
if you take what you said, like sometimes people are verbally and mentally abused in a relationship. So, like, let's just, and I'm not saying it, but like, let's just say someone said, call someone fat, and I'm just throwing it out there, right? And if your ex constantly told you fat, and you go into a relationship thinking, he's gonna think I'm fat, he's gonna do this. You know what I mean? If you take that mental abuse into the relationship, it's not gonna happen. You know what I mean? Or some people like, oh, you need to wear weave all the time because that's what you're ex told you. You're gonna feel like this man or woman, whatever, always gonna want you with a week. You know what I mean? I just feel like
Hmm.
that's another thing that you're still taking things from that relationship. First of all, yes. Do I get certain hairstyles and stuff because I know my man liked on me? Yes.
Right,
How
right.
I have to agree with it. You
Hmm.
understand what I'm saying? Like it starts with you. It starts with the self-love.
Right.
Everything else extra, yes. Like his birthday, certain styles I'll get, but I also have to be comfortable with it. You know what I mean? You can't go by what the last person liked. Everyone is not going to like the same thing.
Right. No, I agree with you. I even think, like, when you say you can't take it from the last relationship, you can't take things that have hurt you and think you can control it in the next relationship. I actually had a client where she was in a relationship. In her previous relationship, that person cheated on her several times with his previous child's mother, right?
Mhm.
So in her new relationship, because that partner had a child already with someone, she is paying for that person's rent where they're staying, so she knows where that person is living. So if her man ever goes over there because he's trapped, she'll know. Do you see the toxicity in that? Because you're controlling it so much that it doesn't even make sense.
That's a lot. I'm happy
That's
she's in,
deep. Oh
I'm
no, that
happy.
is deep.
I'm happy she chose
We
to
had to
say
roll
yes.
up the sleeves on that one. I was like, okay, all right. We're gonna have to talk about this. And so this isn't saying it's to shame her in no way at all. We're not shaming our
Right.
clients, but it's just to let you know where people's minds are at. And especially if someone is, viewing and have thought in that way, you cannot control something from that happening to you in that way. Because all that is you thinking you can control your hurt. And that's
Right.
letting you know you're not ready for a relationship.
No, absolutely. I want to reiterate, it's no shame or anything because I'm a mention like I've been. I feel like I call myself stupid. I've definitely been stupid in the past, but no, I am happy she is seeing counseling, and it is a lot. And sometimes I'm me in my sessions. I'm like, listen, this is a lot.
Mm-hmm.
We happy we here. So never ever. I want you guys to think we ever shame a client at all. But yeah, that's a lot, but that's trauma. And
That's
like,
trauma.
and let's the key word that we're missing is PTSD. Like some people don't even realize it until they're in another relationship, and some people don't know how not to be in a relationship.
No.
Like they need that, and I feel like when I come across clients like that, like where does that stem from? Like that
Mm-hmm.
usually stems from two things. You've seen your parents have the best relationship and you feel like I have to have that. So I need to be in a relationship to be like my parents because they've been together for 37 years and I want what they had because I'm going to be a failure because they look up to their parents so much. Or
Right.
your parents did not have that, and you refuse to repeat the cycle. So you're determined to be in a relationship to not be like your parents. Usually, that's what I come across with.
Yeah, same here.
So I have to, before we discuss why, your toxic relationship, we have to get to the root of the problem and go back to childhood trauma or different things you can identify with that could then make sense in your adulthood and why it's now causing adult trauma. And sometimes people don't realize how much they connect.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I see some comments. I agree. That could be a red flag because you don't really know but you be ready to be my emergency contact.
Yes, I'll be emergency contact, boo.
Right. And then someone said, do you believe in strongholds? So, strongholds, yes, I believe. So, strongholds is similar to trauma bonding, where
Mhm.
your trauma, a person's trauma and your trauma can really have this hold together where it's really not a happy relationship, but you feel safe in it. You know what to expect of them. They know what to expect of you. It's toxic. Y'all know y'all argue, and they'll be back on Friday. And so you can have that trauma bond with a person. And I also think, sometimes we can stay in a toxic relationship. And I might be going off left, so bring me back, Dr. Jones, if I am. But this goes out for, especially for young adults when it comes to, well, I won't say young adults because anybody can go through it, but repeatedly having sex with someone who is toxic for you, you can keep yourself in that connection with someone when you know it's time to break free and you still engage in sex with them. That can increase that PTSD to where when you're finally ready to move on, you still feel like that person has a hold on you.
No, but
So,
you're not
yeah.
going over deeper and say want to purposely have a baby by this person because you think
Mm,
it's going to save the relationship, and that does not. I
that
just
doesn't
want the
work.
world.
That's
I
a
want the
sign
world
you're
to
not
hear.
ready.
I want
Yeah.
the world to hear that. Like the baby is not, if anything, is going to make it worse. Having a baby with someone is a lot. So it's.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to cut you off, but I just wanted to put that out there. Like
Mm-hmm.
having sex with them, most times they're not having condoms, so you're already chancing
Right.
it. You know what's going to happen, and even if they are a great father or a great mother, if it was toxic before, they're going to be a great parent, but that doesn't mean you guys are going to be able to co-parent. Or
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
sometimes once in a blue, that person say, you know what, I want a family, so let's make it work. Sometimes, and maybe it works, but let's not depend on it. And don't think like this person been toxic for the last 9 years and then turn around and propose and he's not going to be toxic anymore.
And the marriage, because sometimes that can be a form of control. Let me marry you so no one else can have you because I see that, you know what, you might eventually take this veil off your eyes and actually leave me. So let me give you the fireworks so you'll stay. And I'm still going to show my behind, in the marriage. That is very, very true.
Unless they did the work. Now, if they did the
Unless
work,
they did the work. Yeah.
I'm all for it. But if I just had that argument Thursday and he come with that ring on payday on Friday, um, that it wasn't much time to do the work. You know what I mean? So it's a lot. It's a lot
It
to it.
is.
But I just don't want us to forget that we have to know the part we play. So that could
Very
go
much so.
ways. Like I don't want people to feel like, you know what, blame themselves, because that could cause toxic relationship. They blame themselves for everything in the relationship, and that person's gaslighting you and making you feel like everything you did is wrong. But at the
Hmm.
same time, you have to realize what you can do different. Like, is it both of you guys that's making it toxic? You know what I mean? So I think
Right.
you have to constantly do a self-evaluation of yourself and the relationship. When you're crying more than smiling, it's time to figure out what's going
Yeah.
and what's worth it.
Yeah, it goes back to, am I showing too much grace to red flags? And
Mm-hmm.
or am I tolerating too much disrespect? Like, wait a minute, you know, like, that's when you gotta question it. You gotta check it. Someone said spirit mixing when you're having unprotected sex. Yes, Okay. So, I'm gonna take it on a spiritual level. Look, I'm gonna take my Dr. Hill hat off. We're
Yes,
gonna
because
get
we're
more
not in
spiritual.
counseling,
We're
so
not in
you can't do that.
counseling. So we're gonna
Yes.
talk. We're gonna talk. So basically,
That's New
yes.
York accent.
I don't know what that was. But yes, can you spirit mix? Yes. Oh my gosh, yes. Especially if and this is what made me bring up my comment earlier about, like, if you know that this person is toxic for you, stop having sex with them. Because a lot of times when you have sex with a person, especially unprotected sex, you are energy exchanging. And sometimes you can pick up somebody's traumas through sex. Like, you ever, and it can happen where people, where like you and an ex hook back up and you have sex with them, and then you wake up the next day just feeling so down about yourself and feeling this
Mm-hmm.
low energy, like, why? And a lot of it's because you are entering into a stage where you're healing, and you allow that energy to come back in you. So yes,
Mm-hmm.
if you feel like something is toxic, on a spiritual level, some can believe it, some not. But if you are with someone toxic, you do need to cut that off, because you're allowing that energy to still enter you. You're
And I
still
want to say,
entertaining it.
when you mention when you're healing, you're at your most vulnerable spot. So you're open to so many things. So that energy is going to enter you easier, because you're just, especially when you just started. It's gonna,
Mm-hmm.
it's definitely gonna, you know what I mean, hard to shake off. And again, this is just personal beliefs. We don't say this in counseling. This is just personal beliefs, but um,
Yeah,
know that
personal belief.
then that you can definitely pick up on and exchange. And even if we're not talking about the sex, well, I wholeheartedly believe that energy definitely exchanged during sex. Just being around that toxic person, like, especially when they
Mm-hmm.
have you feel like they're jealous of you, or your words, you're less than, except, you start questioning yourself. If they're not believing in themselves, you start looking at just, you know what I mean. And that's why they tell you watch your surroundings, because you
Mm-hmm.
start thinking the negative thoughts that they thinking, and it's like, damn,
Watch who you
is that
sleeping
me?
with, right? Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And it's like, you could be the most confident person, but when you start hanging around so much negativity, your confidence level slowly starts diminishing. And then it's kind of like hard for you to pick it back up, because you're still around the negativity. You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
like, you're not going to be able to save this person, and you're not even saving yourself. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, one at a time here. So y'all either going to do the work together, you find yourself, and if it's meant to be, let it be. But it can't be the blind leading the blind. You're not going to get anywhere. You know what I mean? So
I
I
know.
just definitely to watch the energy, and know what you want for you, and realize, like, when is enough enough.
Oh, yes, 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 yes. So that actually leads me to the next thing. I'm gonna, like, fast forward it, okay?
Okay.
So what are your thoughts, Dr. Jones, and everyone out there? What are your thoughts on, what do you think a person needs to have, or what, not, I won't say so much have, but what do you think a person needs to practice when they are in a relationship with someone who has PTSD from a toxic relationship? So let's fast forward. Let's just say you're out of that relationship, no more red flags, no more ignoring. I'm free, and I now meet this new person, and they
Mhm.
love me right, and it feels good. It feels foreign. What
Mhm.
What do you think are tips that a person could maybe have in their toolkit when they're trying to love someone that's been through a toxic relationship?
So
Is
not
that
the
clear?
Yeah, so not the
Okay.
person leaving the toxic relationship, the person that's welcoming that person. What it
Yes, yes. So let's take it to another perspective. What do you think that they might need to really make that other person comfortable?
So that could go a lot of ways, right?
I love your face in this.
And I say this because I don't blame someone if they don't want to deal with it, right? I don't
Mm-hmm.
blame someone if they don't. I mean, I'm happy that wasn't my boo, because I'll be single child. But I'm happy I can't knock because someone probably dealt with it so much and they don't have the patience. But then if you choosing to thug it out, patience. Yeah, somebody just said you have to
Patience.
have patience, right? But then you could go a little deeper, like how much patience does a person have? You know what I mean? Because
Mm.
I really feel like if I didn't get it together, I could have lost. You know what I mean? Because it's not
Mm-hmm.
like necessarily giving up, but it's like how much like I'm proving to you, like I'm faithful, I'm this, I'm doing everything, but it's still not enough, right? You
Right.
tell people to know their self value and their self worth. So how much, you know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
patience. But if you telling that person, listen, I'm gonna love you through this. I know what you've been through. I got you. Patience is automatic, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, Forgiveness, because the
Yeah.
person's gonna piss you off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not intentionally, but they're gonna do things that's like forgiveness, um, understanding, and patience, forgiveness, understanding, and open minded, and just understanding that where they came from and see that they're trying, but that other person really have to put in the effort, like. And I feel like that's where we go into people that's like they're too nice, that these, a lot of girls don't want them anymore because they're too nice, you know what I mean. They're
Yeah.
guys, but those the ones that could understand all this toxic stuff you've been through, and they trying to hold it down with you. And where some people go wrong is that they take advantage.
Mm-hmm.
Don't want to do that,
Mm-hmm.
so you don't work on trying to change because in your mind he or she is going to deal with it, and I don't think
Right.
that's fair to that person.
No.
um
No.
we had a lot of comments for this one.
Yeah.
Someone said patience, yes. Someone said compassion and grace, absolutely.
Yes.
Excuse me, patience, understanding, and the willing to work with the person, yes. Mindfulness, yes.
Yes.
For mindfulness is really, I'm listen, my clients probably so over me because I don't promote anything else. I promote mindfulness,
Mindfulness.
and I promote it because that's something I needed to work on. So those of you, it's like basically being able to focus on one thing at a time. So for instance, like today I went and got a pedicure, and while getting the pedicure, I was um creating a post for steps, sending out emails, and I took a moment, was like, let me sit here and enjoy and focus on this pedicure, right? I feel like when we get caught up with focusing on too many things, you become overwhelmed, and like other things start
Mm-hmm.
losing attention. So I like when my daughter and I are eating at the table, I'm feeding her. Sometimes I'm like feeding her on my phone or thinking of what I'm gonna teach my so I try to take little moments, and it's like I'm with my boyfriend, with my daughter, like we're having family dinner, like turn off the TV, like let's be mindful of what's going on. So mindfulness is really important, especially if you're trying to grow a relationship, when you can really focus on
Mm-hmm.
those moments. You know what I mean? Like Instagram,
Yes.
yeah, like yes, you want the happy moments, but all that's going to be there. Like we'll catch the picture of the video at the end, but let's just focus on us for the moment. And I don't think it
Yes.
only has with bringing into a relationship. I feel like all relationships need that at some point. Like let's just focus on us if we
Yes.
grow. So I think mindfulness is key. And if somebody said,
Absolutely.
for the person accepting the other person, how does a person hold that other person accountable? Well, that's a good one.
Hold
You
on, let
want
me read that. For the person accepting the other person, how does the person A hold that other person accountable without being harsh?
want to answer that one, or you want me? Or we both can. You want to go first?
Yes. So I think it can be handled two ways. So the first way is definitely couples counseling.
Mm-hmm.
Having an unbiased person come in, and when you share in front of your partner what you're feeling or what you're experiencing, and allowing your partner, it feels refreshing when the counselor can say what it is you've been wanting to say. Because I'll
Mm-hmm.
pay attention to like some of my clients, like give me that look like, yes, finally somebody else said it besides me. So, really inviting another party in to just say, hey, what are your thoughts on this? And sometimes a person will get it from a stranger before they get it to someone close to them.
Because
Why people work like that sometimes? they just do. So I would say the first thing is definitely try couples counseling, see if they're open to it. If not, then another personal thing that I would recommend is spirituality and bringing prayer into it, and really just saying, how about let's pray over the things that we want to work on. And it's a subtle way of you sharing with them is that it's bothering you. So you can even introduce it like, hey, I really don't know how to share this with you. But I want to share this from my heart. Know that it's coming from a place of love. But I would really love if we could pray over your anger. I
Mm-hmm.
would really love if we could pray over that trust issues. So it
Mm-hmm.
really depends on your person. If you know that they're not going to sit and pray with you about it or go on that spiritual, I definitely highly recommend the counseling approach.
Mm-hmm. So I have two responses. So with my clients, I usually one when they like, oh, Dr. Jones, I spoke to him or her about it already. My first question is, but did you speak to them without arguing? Because a lot of people think
Mm,
they point out certain things when they had the argument last week. When you're arguing, it's not going to get anywhere. Have you set
mm-hmm.
time aside when neither one of you are upset to have a conversation where you're listening to understand and not to respond, because that makes a difference. So when you're arguing, everything is on defense mode. It's gonna sound negative, right? So I always ask that question: how did you say it? When did you say it? Because sometimes communication is important. The timing,
Your
how it's not
delivery, yes.
say it,
Mm-hmm.
all of that is important. That's one. My other thing is the sandwich effect, right? You go to them like, hey, babe, I noticed that I love that you do this, but can you
Mm-hmm.
work on this, the negative, and then close it with a positive, right? So even though
Mm-hmm. I love that.
something good, negative, and close it out. In
Yeah.
relationships, also, like, you don't want to always go to that person with something negative. Like every time you point out, but it's like, when was the last time you told that person something good? Like, especially like dealing with men. Like I know there's a lot of my women clients feel like men really don't like a compliment. Like men loves to feel appreciated. So
They
like
really do.
you point out everything negative. When was the last time you said thank you? Not like because he bought you something this. Like, look at him like, babe, I appreciate the effort. Like, I remember when you used to do this, but you've been doing this lately. And it could be the littlest thing, like, babe, I noticed that you did the dishes 3 times this week and only, you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like, and I know for us, it's like, oh, they're grown men. They shouldn't. We do everything. But you'll be surprised that little bit could put extra motivation in that person. So to answer your question, I definitely think something positive, something negative, and close it out on something positive. And if you can't think of something positive to close it out with, acknowledge something that you're also going to work on. So you're not making it
Yes.
seem it's them, always pointing the fingers like, and this is, or babe, can you work on this? And is there something you want me to work on? You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
it's a team. You guys are a team. So I definitely think
Right.
it has to come with, and you have to sometimes be solution focused, right? So instead of focusing on a problem, what solution? Because I've also asked a couple of clients, like, okay, you told me the problem, what would make you feel better? Or what
Mm-hmm.
you want to see different? And they can't tell me. And I'm like, how do you want this person to change when you don't even know exactly what that would look like or what would be the outcome or what you want better? So also figure out exactly what you're hoping for. Like, you understand the problem, but do you have a solution? Because they
Yeah.
have a solution and you don't have a solution. So how are you mad that this person not changing and neither one of you guys have a solution? So
You're
I just
right.
feel
Then it's toxic.
then it's
Then it's
toxic.
toxic.
Thoroughly think it through of what you want and what you hope it should look like, and how is that outcome going to benefit both of you. It's not a I thing. I know we said a lot.
Right.
We gave you a lot of
Yeah.
options.
Right. We gave you A, B, C, D, and all of the above. But I do
Yes.
want to point out, and I love how you share it. Like how we said, if it's just no one's trying to meet, then it's toxic. I think that's a good point. And Here's the thing, I do want to mention this because I don't want people to think, well, like, do I got to tiptoe and now I got to say it a certain
No.
way? And it's not that at all, right? In relationships with a partner, a friend, family, you got to get in this mindfulness, right? As we talk about mindfulness, you got to get in this mindfulness sometimes of how you approach things. And so when you got to take your time and craft how you talk to people, like the sandwich method, understand that that can also be applied when you're talking in a co-worker relationship or
Absolutely.
friendship. So I definitely want to say that, like, don't take that you got to walk on eggshells with people, but understand that it's okay if you got to take your time to figure out how you want to communicate with people. That's healthy. So I definitely want to make sure I did, you know, show the
No,
difference, because some people are like, I'm not sugarcoating what I want to say, I'm just gonna say it. But then that's toxic, because are you coming from a place of trauma that you feel like they're not hearing you, instead of just like, let's really work this through.
yeah, and that's what, like, I really learned that method when I was a teacher, and that was 15 years ago. Because especially when you had that student that was like always told a whole bunch of negative things, and then the mothers come and expecting negative. So let's switch it up a little bit. And sometimes it's like you gotta think hard. Like, little Johnny,
I love how you
he
clean the chalkboard.
he helped clean the dog. You know what I mean? But you have to. I mean, as a teacher and as a person that's in that field and as a partner in a relationship, you better be able to find something good. You know what I mean? And if
Right.
you can't at that moment, you need to see if you can't at that moment because you're in a negative space and I just had an argument, or if there's nothing positive you can say, we need to have other conversations then. You know what I mean? So
Right.
you need to check yourself too. But friend, do you realize it's 8:53 already? That's a
I
good
know. So
thing.
time is going. We're gonna open the floor. If you have any questions, comments, stories, look, child, go on here, share a story. If you want, bring it to the altar, bring it to the steps,
Um,
the steps
but this
live.
was a really great topic. I would love to I wish, you know what, maybe, just maybe we could talk about this. Have a one of our talk therapy Thursdays with someone who can admittedly say they like toxic relationships.
Hmm.
I wonder how
Okay.
it play out. I don't know. We could
Or
do,
their experience of
yeah.
liking it now, coming from a healed place. So, like, hey, if you're out there, if you know someone that's out there, we do share this with our YouTube family after our lives. Please email us at info@stepscounselingconsulting.com, or send us a DM if you would like to be a part of our Talk Therapy Thursday to discuss this, because we want to know, because this is like the new culture of like, I want a toxic. If it ain't toxic, it ain't good. And I'm like, oh, bless y'all heart.
Hear
Like,
a male also.
hmm,
To
yeah, we
hear
would love to hear from a male.
their perspective. I think that would be a pretty good if a male joined and discuss if they ever experienced it or their thoughts. So I know I just threw that on you, Dr. Hill. Usually we have our little side business meeting, but you know me, I
Not
forget my
like that.
thoughts. So I just put it out there.
No,
Also
and then
before I
someone
forget,
else said, oh, I'm so sorry. Someone else said, I would love that. I would love it too. And another person said, thank you, ladies. So I don't know, Dr.
thank
Jones. I think
you.
we might have another topic.
We'll talk about it. Let's have a meeting. Let's
Yeah.
see. Let's see. I choose me. We have this in different colors. You can find this on stepscounselingconsulting.com.
Yes, and God approved me seeing a therapist. This is available not only in a sweatshirt, but also in a t-shirt. So you can definitely wear it for the summer if you don't want to get the hoodie.
Yes, because this we have this as a bathing suit and a sweatshirt, right?
We sure do. We sure
Yeah.
do. So definitely check that out
We
on
haven't
our
did a
website.
sale. Maybe we should do a sale for the people. Call it the
I
sale work.
like
Oh, we're not gonna do that.
that. Now we being toxic. Now we being toxic. But no, definitely check us out on our website at stepscounselingconsulting.com, or you can, someone said, oh my.
It's a
Or
joke. It's a
it's
joke.
a
But
joke. It's
indeed,
a joke. Or you can definitely click the link in our bio. If you are interested in counseling, please, someone said, can you put the link in the chat?
yeah.
Um,
Got it? Or you
yes,
want me
yes, go ahead if you can put it in the chat.
to, huh? And
If
I'll
you
pin it.
are, yes, if you are interested in counseling, please know we are always, and I mean always, accepting new clients. email us at info@stepscounselingconsulting.com. So if you know somebody that knows somebody that's looking for a therapist, tell them to hit your favorite therapist up. We enjoy you guys every Monday, every third Thursday. We appreciate the support and the love. And I do see that some people have joined us. I'm sorry, you guys, we're at the end. But don't worry, we upload all our lives to our YouTube. So
Yes.
hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you can stay updated when we post videos like this. And we appreciate y'all. Anything else, Dr. Jones?
No, I had fun. I always have fun. The audience was really great. Thank you for the participation. Yes, and look out for our next. It should be April 21st. I talk therapy Thursday, April 21st.
Right. I know. Can you believe we're in April, you guys? So I feel you. But it's going to be an abundant April. You guys have a wonderful Monday evening. We love you guys, and we'll talk to y'all soon. Bye, y'all.
Say yes to counseling. Okay, bye.
Yes.